Welcome to the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nick Roloff, and we have a doozy of a show here on a Wednesday. Trading for Ja Morant. Is that a possibility this season for the Miami Heat? There's been a lot of drama in Memphis with the star point guard, and we know Miami's always hunting for the next big star. And with everything that has transpired in Memphis to begin this season, there is absolutely a world where Morant is available at the NBA trade deadline in early February. And if the Heat have a relatively good start to the season, could they cash in some assets to go get the former All-Star guard in Memphis? Well, let's start with why he is probably going to be available on the trade market sooner rather than later. Ja Morant was suspended by the Grizzlies for one game due to conduct detrimental to the team. He had some choice words about the coaching staff over the weekend after a couple of tough losses and poor performances. Morant got called out by some media names and talking heads, and it's just not a pretty sight with the Memphis Grizzlies right now. And before we get into more, make sure you follow me over on X at Nick_Roloff is the handle. If they do end up making a trade, we will have you covered over there first, so go give me a follow right now. But I also wanted to share this little quote from the Hoop Collective at ESPN, a podcast with Bontemps, Windhorst, and MacMahon. Bontemps said, "Where are the Grizzlies going with Ja Morant? Why is it worth dealing with this over and over and over again?" MacMahon responded, says, "What Ja did in the second half versus the Lakers was absolutely embarrassing. You're trying to hold Ja accountable now. You've done a lot of kissing his butt over the years." The point I'm trying to make here by showing some of these quotes and reactions is it's ugly. I mean, it just is. We know Ja Morant has had a lot of issues off of the court with the IG Live. Like, he's been suspended multiple times. It's just the truth of the matter. And now he gets suspended by his own organization due to his comments following the game. Like, you have to ask the Grizzlies, all right, we've been trying to build around Ja Morant since 2019. It really hasn't got us anywhere. Or even when we were a top 3 team in the Western Conference, we still lost in a playoff series. Like, it just is a situation where you're the Grizzlies are like, all right, I don't know if Ja can be the number 1 on a title team. And if he's going to cause this much of a headache for us, well, then why should we continue to invest in him and try to build around him? I understand why the Grizzlies could potentially trade him. And Shams Charania, in the wake of the one-game suspension, reported on ESPN that there has been tension growing between Ja Morant and the new Grizzlies head coach. Remember, I always forget how to say his name, to be honest, but he replaced Taylor Jenkins last year halfway through the season, and the Grizzlies were better after that. But now you're having tensions grow with the new head coach. Like, it just feels like whoever is coaching the Memphis Grizzlies can't do any right in Ja Morant's eyes, and it's just creating chaos every single day. And as we continue to talk about Ja Morant, let me know, would you trade for Ja Morant? Like, I don't think it's as much of a slam dunk as it could have been just a couple of years ago with everything that's transpired over the last about 800 days. So let me know, would you trade for Ja? I think the Grizzlies could have a fire sale. Like, not only could they trade Ja Morant, I could see them potentially trading Jaren Jackson Jr. It could be one of those things where they just completely blow it up and start from scratch, trade both of them, and recoup a total of what? Potentially 4 or 5 first-round picks for the two of them. I don't know if you're getting that just for one of them. Jaren Jackson Jr. might go for 3, but I don't know how many Ja goes for. And it's, do you prioritize young players that are good, or do you prioritize draft capital? But when you're thinking about a Ja Morant Miami Heat trade, I'll be honest, like, I'm very skeptical of dealing for the Grizzlies' number 2 overall pick from 2019. Like, he has just had such an up and down 4 years. Like, he obviously was phenomenal his first handful of seasons in the league, taking the league by storm. But he only played 9 games in 2023 due to suspension and injuries. He's only played 6 games this year, but his efficiency has just continued to decline year after year after year. He has never been a good three-point shooter in the league, but the one thing he's been always to hang his hat on is his efficiency finishing around the rim and his ability to get to the charity stripe by drawing fouls and easy finishes at the restricted area. But if you look at this chart created by my guy Kevin O'Connor at Yahoo Sports, he showcases that Ja Morant's at rim frequency and efficiency has decreased each of the last 4 years. And this has nothing to do with his explosiveness. He just isn't as efficient and he isn't getting there as much. He is often settling for floaters and 15-foot mid range shots. But every single year, it has gone down over the last 4 seasons in terms of his at rim frequency. So he's not even putting as much pressure on the rim as he was in the first 3 years of his career, which is what made him one of the more dangerous point guards in the entire NBA. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The football action and basketball action is continuing to roll on, and with the weather changing, the one thing that doesn't change is the feeling of being right. Keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Just pick more or less and at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds to turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. I made an entry in for the beginning of this season. I took more than on Brandon Miller points per game. He has not been playing. He's been dealing with injury. We'll see if he ultimately returns. Less than on Dylan Harper. He's currently averaging 14. That will be interesting as the season progresses. But the more than on Luka Doncic points per game looks absolutely fantastic through the first 2 weeks of the season. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now, the other ironic thing about trading for Ja Morant, which is another reason why I'm very skeptical of making this deal, is the exact reason that Taylor Jenkins got fired in Memphis was because Ja Morant and him had a very poor relationship down the stretch of last season, mostly because of the new offense the Memphis Grizzlies implemented last year. What offense did they implement? Oh, only the same exact offense the Miami Heat are running right now. What is that offense? It's more of a widespread, fast-paced, low-screen action. Not a lot of pick and rolls. It's, all right, let's go. Everybody can succeed. Everybody can handle the ball. And we're going to space the floor, attack our man off the dribble, try to get to the rim and finish, or collapse the defense, kick out for an open 3, and just do that continuously over and over and over again. Ja Morant is a player that heavily relies on ball screens. He likes getting the switch in the pick and roll with big men and either splitting that screen, getting to the rack, or isolating on a big man and making a move to the rim or pulling up for a 3-point shot. Like, him not liking that offense is why Jenkins got fired. And are you going to bring that into Miami now? Like, I don't know. Like, it would just, to me, I think when you trade for Ja Morant, you're getting a headache off the court and a headache on the court. And I just don't know if that's the best thing for Miami right now. Yes, we're all clamoring for that unbelievable star, young talent type of guy to become available to trade for. But I almost feel as if Miami should think about not even pursuing Ja Morant unless his behavior on and off the court changes. But to play devil's advocate, it might be the cheapest star player to acquire that is possible. I mean, Brian Windhorst, because of all of this drama in Memphis, reported on the Hoop Collective, reported might be a strong word, might just be more or less an opinion. He said that he would not expect Morant to have a robust, aka hot market where many people are interested in offering trade packages if he is ultimately shopped or made available by the Memphis Grizzlies. So you have to wonder, all right, how cheap would it be to acquire Ja Morant? And then at that point, is the cheapness to make the trade worth it for the Miami Heat? We'll talk about that here in a second. But if the Heat ever make a trade, we'll be going live on the channel like we did in the offseason for Norman Powell and Simone Fontecchio's Duncan Robinson sign-in trade. Subscribe and join the Heat Report family today. Well, I found this very interesting. Bleacher Report, amongst all of the rumors, created a bunch of trade packages for Ja Morant. And their trade offer for Miami was very, very simple. It was just Tyler Herro for Ja Morant. And they also had a trade exception being used in there. But when you look at players and picks, that's all it was. It was Herro for Ja. And that's fascinating. We also saw CBS Sports, Sam Quinn, throw out an idea that it would be centered between Herro and Ja and maybe some draft picks, but maybe not any other young talent coming from Miami side. And, like, it seems Like, obviously, it would be different when the GMs talk about it, but many media people believe it could just be like a Ja for Hero swap or something very close to that. But I'll be honest, like I might be crazy here. I might prefer Tyler Hero at this point over Ja. Like, is this me saying Hero is better than Ja? No. Is it me saying that Hero is more talented than Ja? No. But when I think about the extracurricular stuff that Ja Morant would bring alongside him to Miami, I do not think the player you are getting is worth that. It's almost like the How I Met Your Mother skit where they had the hot and craziness scale. For you to be this hot or this crazy, you got to be this hot. If you're going to bring this much baggage, you got to be this good. And I just don't think he meets that line of baggage to good, which is why I almost think I would rather keep Tyler Hero and use him in a separate trade or just ultimately extend him rather than trade for Ja and extend him. But once again, I'll play devil's advocate. If Ja Morant comes to Miami, cleans up his act, and ultimately becomes a more efficient jump shooter as well as a finisher at the rim, well, this could be the perfect buy low candidate. Because unlike Tyler Hero, he has 2 years left on his deal. Remember, Tyler has this year, next year, and that's it. Ja has this year, next year, and 2027-28 at $44.8 million, $42.1 before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. Ja was eligible for a 2-year, $120 million contract extension this offseason that the Grizzlies ultimately bypassed in terms of extending him there. So it's very interesting when you think about Ja's on-the-court fit, off-the-court issues, in comparison to Tyler Hero, who you know what you have there. Yeah, he's not a good defender, and he's spotty in the playoffs, but it's not like we've seen Ja Morant be that terrific in the postseason. He doesn't really defend, and he's got his issues on the court in terms of being able to shoot the three ball. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just tough. It's just tough. But you let me know. Pick a player. Type TH for Tyler Hero or type JM for Ja Morant. Which player would you rather have in Miami? Let me know your thoughts. And like I said, if any Heat trade does ultimately go down, we will have you covered with a video. So hit that sub button and follow me over on Twitter as well, @Nick_Roloff.